All right. Welcome. We are also live on YouTube. So if you are joining us on YouTube, welcome. If you are joining us on Zoom, also welcome. We will be available to look at questions on chat on both platforms. So you can chat in YouTube and put that in the chat, your questions in the chat box there, and we'll answer them. And we will do the same thing for anyone on Zoom today. So welcome. This is our first visa prep session of this semester. And Elizabeth and I are here. We're very excited. I think I've met some people over the few months that we've been helping you all apply for fall, but just in case, my name is Alyssa, and I'm the Director of International Recruitment and Communications here at Minnesota State University. I will let Elizabeth introduce herself.
Hello, everyone, and welcome from wherever you're joining us. My name is Elizabeth Lorenz, and I'm the Assistant Director of International Recruitment and Enrollment. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, so today it is a pretty small crowd at this time, so it's really a good time to ask questions that you have. We are going to go ahead and talk through some visa tips and tricks. At the end, we also can talk through the I-20 request if anyone has questions on that. So please just let us know. And again, let us know in the chat and we'll make sure to cover what we can.
Alyssa, would you like me to share my screen or can you do it on your end?
Go ahead. I somehow got switched so only I could share, but now.
Okay, perfect. I got it now. All good.
There's always one thing, right?
There's always one thing. It's our first session of the season. Got to get the kinks out.
Yeah, we're not in practice yet. It's not
Right,
like
exactly.
like totally easy. We got this.
Just out of rhythm a little bit. Awesome. So I will jump ahead here. This is our agenda today. So like Alyssa said, it's a shorter session, but we're going to be talking about really important details of getting your I-20 and scheduling your visa interview, and also how to prepare for your interview. So jump to this next slide here. And this is about, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No.
Good. So basically, if you're joining this session, hopefully that means you have already received your I-20 from us or have requested your I-20 and will be getting that very soon. But once you do get the I-20 from MSU, there's some important information that you just want to know on this document. And so the first thing is your CIS ID. This is the identification number that's used by the US government to track your F1 immigration record here in the United States. So that CIS ID is very important. So make sure that you are aware of where to find that identification number on your Form I-20. And then a little bit further below that is the school information. Now, it should have Minnesota State University Mankato as the school that you have been accepted to and are attending. And it also has important things that include the school code. And you'll see that school code listed here on the screen and also on your Form I-20. And that school code is something you'll have to enter in later on when you're paying for your CIS I-901 fee. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. But as far as other information on your I-20, make sure that you read through everything carefully. Make sure there's no issues with the spelling of your name, information about your country of citizenship or country of birth. and your major information and financial information all looks correct. Typically, when it comes to students who want to make a change to their major after they've received their I-20, just with the high volume of I-20 requests that we're processing, we are not able to do major changes after we've already issued the I-20 to you. So make sure that if you haven't requested your I-20 or haven't received it from us yet, let us know as early as possible if you're making a change to your major so that we can change that before your I-20 is issued to you. Oh, great.
Awesome. So that first step for you after you get your I-20 is to pay the CIS I-901 fee. And so that fee is a fee that everyone applying for an F1 or J1 visa actually needs to pay for. So, oh, I'm sorry, I have the payment incorrect on here. The payment for the CIS fee is $350. For some reason, I got mixed up when I created this presentation and I put the wrong amount. So I apologize about that. But $350 is due, and that payment is valid for 12 full months. So if you paid today, March 28th, 2024, your CIS payment would be valid until March 27th, 2025. So this is the fee that you need to keep your CIS record active. So when you go to your visa appointment, they need to see that you have paid this fee. And then when you come to the US, we also need to see that you've paid the fee on your CIS record. So to do that, most of you are going to go to fmjfee.com/I901 fee, and you'll make the payment online. So using the information that Elizabeth just told you about on your I-20, you're going to fill in the information on the I-901 application. So your CIS ID, you can find that on your I-20, and then your last name and given name. You want to make sure that what you put on this application matches your I-20 exactly, and you want your I-20 to match your passport exactly. So we always want to make sure that your name looks the same everywhere you are applying. And then for the date of birth, just remember the MM is the month, DD is the day of the month, and then the 4 Ys are year. So I just bring that up because I know, in the US, we do have kind of our own system of dates, and we do the month first and then the day second. So just remember that. So this fee is pretty, like I said, 12 months. For some of you in certain countries like the Gambia, I'm trying to think, I know a couple others, but for some of you, you may have to pay through Western Union. And if that is something that you have to do because of your country location, that information is available for you in the KIC portal. So we will have that specific to you in your portal. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. So once you have made that CIS I-901 fee payment, the next step you can do is schedule your visa interview. And you'll need to schedule an interview at the nearest US embassy or consulate. So wherever you might live, you might have a couple different options of locations that you can go to. So feel free to choose whichever one is most convenient to you and offers appointment dates within the time frame you need to get your visa for. So you'll find the nearest US embassy or consulate to you. And you'll go online to the travel.state.gov website that we have listed here. And once you've selected the embassy or consulate where you plan to attend your visa interview, you will complete the form that's called DS-160. This is an online application form that you will fill out. And the first step is just to create an account. So you can create an account by choosing the Start an Application option. And if you need to start the application, but maybe don't have all the information available to you, you can save the application and come back to it later. Um, so we'll talk a little bit more about some of the details that are included in that application so you're best prepared before you fill it out. Something though I want to mention is if any students who have not yet received your I-20, please make sure that you wait to schedule your visa interview until you have your I-20 in hand. We've noticed a trend with some students where they go ahead and they're somehow able to fill out this DS-160 application form before they have the I-20 from us, and they get an interview date, but the university cannot guarantee that we will get your I-20 to you in time for your visa interview. So please wait to do this until after you have your I-20 and after you've paid that CIS I-901 fee. So just something to note with that. It will save you a lot of headaches, and you won't feel that rush and that pressure if you don't have your I-20 in hand yet. So just wanted to make note of that. There is a fee for attending your visa interview, and that is a $185 fee. So kind of similar to the CIS I-901 fee, you will either have the option to make that $185 payment at the end of the application of the DS-160, or if you are from a country where Western Union is the preferred method of payment, there will be instructions for that so you can make the payment through Western Union. So each embassy and consulate is slightly different when it comes to making those payments. So just follow the instructions. Once you have created your account, it will show you what steps you need to follow.
All right, so tips for filling out the DS-160. We really recommend that you set aside at least 90 minutes to complete the application. So I know sometimes we think like, oh, it's a recommended 90 minutes. I'm going to be able to rush through it and get this done quickly. I can tell you from helping students that even me, someone who is very familiar with the DS-160, would need the full 90 minutes to get through this entire application. So you want to make sure that you do set that time aside, because even though you can save your application, sometimes you can maybe go in, make mistakes. So if you're just focused for 90 minutes, you can get it done. Prepare a photo for your DS-160 before you begin filling out the application. So the instructions are like on that first page that Elizabeth just showed you on the previous slide. Having that photo ready, knowing where it's stored in your computer is really important so that you can easily grab it and upload it when you are asked to. Okay, and then I think the most common question we get is, who do you list for the US point of contact? So all of this information is also available in your KIC portal if you have your I-20. So be sure that once you get that email that says your I-20 is ready for download, you are reading through all of the pre-arrival information as well as downloading your I-20, okay? I am very good about saying to you, if you email me with questions, if you email me this question, I'm going to say, it's in your KIC portal, go read it. All right, but we're going to go through it today because I know it can be a little confusing. So for that contact person, we actually want you to choose do not know. So there's a little checkbox that you'll put there. Please do not put a name in there. Some of you have I-20s created, most of you have I-20s created by Pamela Burke, our I-20 magician. But sometimes I'm listed, sometimes Elizabeth is listed, or other members of our staff. We have over 10 DSOs at our university, and we are all there and available to help you. So we want you to put do not know so that if your embassy has any questions and they need to contact us, they know they can contact any of our DSOs, not just me. If I'm out sick for a week, you want to make sure that that person is going to contact Elizabeth then. So do not know. We don't know our US contact person, but you do know the name. You know the school relationship to you, which is school official, and all of our contact information is here. Again, all of this is listed in your KIC portal. So go back in there when you are filling out the DS-160.
All right. So once you've gotten through that DS-160, at the very end of the online application, it should take you to a place where you can view a calendar or some type of menu to choose the date of your visa interview. And so we would recommend choosing the earliest date possible that is convenient for your schedule. Now, I know in some locations where there's a high volume of visa interview requests, the visa interview dates might be pushed back 6 months, even 10 months. There might not be an opening until November of 2024, which obviously that causes a lot of students to panic because your program start date is in August. So you do need to get a visa interview before August to have enough time to enroll at MSU for the fall semester. So if that happens to you where you're in the situation that the embassy just does not offer any visa appointment dates in time to join us in August, that is okay. Go ahead and select the earliest appointment date that you can get, even if it's October 2024. Select that date because you do have to have a date on the calendar in order to request an expedited visa interview. So once you've filled out that DS-160 and you've selected the appointment date, you can go back, and after you've paid the visa fee, you can go back into your DS-160 application form and submit an emergency request or expedited request. And in this expedited request, typically there's a place to upload supporting documentation, as well as explain why you need an emergency request. So in that emergency request, you can just indicate that your program starts on August 19, 2024, and you need a visa interview in time to start your program. And you can upload copies of your admission letter and even your I-20, just verifying that this is indeed the program start date for you. And you'll submit that request, and then if they have time to get you into an earlier appointment, the embassy or consulate will reach back out to you and you can go back in and select an earlier appointment date. Just note that each embassy and consulate does have different processes when it comes to submitting the emergency request. So it's a good idea to review this information on the embassy or consulate website directly because it can vary from country to country as far as how this process works. But this is generally the process that you can follow. Something else, if you are not able to schedule an emergency request for whatever reason, continue to go back into your DS-160 and check for new appointment dates because you can always change your appointment date. And sometimes people cancel their interviews. Sometimes the embassy or the consulate opens up additional interview slots. So you can always check back and see if there's new interview slots available for you to schedule. So don't panic. Once again, if you are scheduling your interview right now and you don't see any openings within the next couple of months, keep checking back or follow this emergency request process.
All right. So preparing for your visa interview. So there is a great website that you can go to and actually hear right from the State Department. You can go and actually see what they recommend. Otherwise, we do have information on our website for you. But if you go to that link.mnsu.edu/visa docs, you'll get some really good info. So the first thing you want to, of course, prepare for your visa interview is that I-20. Make sure that you have that I-20 printed out, that you have signed it. And if you are under 18 years of age, so if you're 16 or 17, you want to make sure that your parents have also signed your I-20. You want to make sure you've got that passport, and you can't get an I-20 without your passport. So again, you need that, and you want to make sure the names match exactly. You will need that CVIS I-901 receipt. So when you make that I-901 fee payment, I really recommend downloading the receipt and saving it somewhere safe that you will remember so that you always know where to go back and grab it. You will want to print that out though for the interview. You will want that DS-160 or the visa application fee payment receipt. I know that may seem redundant, but honestly, sometimes they just can't see everything in their system at once. So make it easy for them, have it printed out and ready at the appointment. Bring a physical copy of that photo with you that may be uploaded into your DS-160, but we know that sometimes things just don't upload properly. So bring a physical one with you in case they need it. And then you don't have to worry about coming back and giving them that one item for your visa. Bring your admission letter. So if you are a bachelor's degree student, you get an email from our office saying, congratulations, you've been admitted. Click on this link to go to your official admission letter. So you want to go to the official admission letter and print that one out for you for the appointment. If you are a graduate student, you want to print out the admission letter from your department, as well as the email notification that you get from graduate studies. So I recommend be safe, just have the one from the department and the one from graduate studies. Bring along your bank statement and the financial affidavit that you used for your I-20. Likely they will not ask for this, but they might. And so it's really important to have it there and available if needed. So just have that there, be ready to talk about who your sponsor is and why they are sponsoring you. Academic transcripts, so high school, if you've only done high school, if you have any previous university study, bring those as well. And then finally, if you are from somewhere where English is not the official language and you needed to show proof of English proficiency, bring those scores with you. So just have the printout available in case they ask for that. And this one, we'll talk a little bit more about it, I think, in the next slide. This is something that can be easy to find and sometimes can be hard to find, depending, but documentation of ties to your home country. So essentially, any sort of paperwork that will show that, yes, indeed, I do intend to return to Ethiopia or the Gambia or Nepal, wherever your home country is. That's critical for your visa to be issued. If they think that you are coming to the United States to stay here, they would consider that a misuse of the F1 visa and they would deny your application. So I think we're going to talk about documentation in the next slide, or maybe 2 slides from now. Or maybe we should talk about it now. Okay, maybe we'll talk about it now.
We'll jump ahead to it.
Yeah. So, and Elizabeth, I know that you'll have some good suggestions here as well.
Yeah.
But let's go, we can go through the answers or these questions and that'll probably help us out.
Yeah, here. We'll talk about that documentation. I think it's the last, the last one. I'll just put these up here just so you can read through them as we're going through. But yeah, maybe we'll talk about that ties to your home country one first.
Okay, yeah.
Just because you were just mentioning it. But essentially, under number 5 there, one of this is all about preparing for your visa interview questions. Um, Something you might be asked to explain by the visa officer is ties to your home country. And essentially, what that means is what is your motivation to return to your home country after completing your education? But more importantly, what is your motivation to leave the United States after completing your education? And that might sound a little bit odd, but the reason for that is because the F1 student visa is a non-immigrant visa. So that means that it's temporary. It serves a purpose for a limited time during the course of your study. And once your um, program of study is finished and you've completed any additional benefits that you might have, such as OPT, we'll talk about that later as well. Um, Once you've completed your program, you do need to leave the United States. And so at the point of your visa interview, your intention needs to be to return to your home country or at least depart the United States if you plan to work abroad in different countries. So if you are asked something like this by the visa officer, it really helps to either show documentation or at least give an answer that shows you've thought about what your motivation to return to your home country is. So if something that could be ties to your home country would be if your family owns a business, for example, maybe you have plans to return to your country and help using with your new major using your skills to support your family business, or maybe you're taking over that family business, but you're helping in some capacity. Maybe your family owns property or land and you have motivation to return to your home country to support your family in the land that you own. But it just shows that you have investments in that country and strong ties through your family property ownership. Um, maybe maybe you don't have something tangible like a family business or land that your family owns. You can talk about things like careers that you want to pursue in your home country. So maybe you have a desire to work in your government, in the Ministry of Health or Ministry of Education or Finance. Give examples of places you hope to work or plan to work when you return to your home country. Maybe you have a specific company that you are really hoping to work for. You can name that company and say, this is my plan to get this program and to work at this company. Maybe you have the desire to be an entrepreneur and you want to start your own company. You can talk about what your plan is to start your own business when you return to your home country. And maybe there's a specific problem that you see in your society and you want to start your business to resolve that issue and provide a solution. Talk about what that is. So, like Alyssa said, sometimes you might have tangible items that you can bring with you to your interview to show the visa officer, but sometimes it might be intangible things like what your hopes and your intentions are for your future career. So if you're just able to give some brief examples, that really helps the visa officer understand what your intention is for studying in the United States, and that you've clearly thought through your plan of what you will do for a career later on, and you do have that motivation to return to your home country. So hopefully that helps explain that number 5 question. I know that can be the most complicated one. So if you have any questions about that, just let us know. But apart from that, I'll go through some of the other questions that you should prepare answers to. Unless, Alyssa, do you have anything to add to that one?
Oh, no, I feel like you really just touched on everything I would say. But would you like me to go over the first couple of questions and you can
Sure,
have a little break
sure.
for your voice? Cool. So, yeah, going back up to questions 1 and 2. So, number 1, they will probably 99% sure ask you, why do you want to study in the US? And specifically, why do you want to study at Minnesota State University Mankato? Um, so what you really want to show the officer is that you've done your research. You've looked at multiple institutions, whether they all are in the United States, maybe some of those institutions are back home or in other countries. But you really want to show that you've done your research, and you can say, I want to go to Minnesota State University Mankato because my friends are there, so I know I have a community already. Also, my friends told me about the amazing academic support that they receive at this university, and I think it will be really helpful for my career. So, whatever your answer may be, there's really no right or wrong answer. They just want to know that you've done your research and you're not simply choosing our institution because maybe we were the first ones to respond to you. Maybe we were the first ones who got you an I20. Maybe you only know about us because your friends are here and that's the only reason you want to come. You just really want to be able to give them a firm and specific reason why our university. And you want to make sure that it's not just looking like you chose us out of convenience. Okay. We're not a convenience relationship. We're a serious relationship that you really thought about and you're committed to. So prepare that. Again, no right or wrong answer here. It's whatever is true for you and the research you've done. They might ask you about your academic goals in the US. And I have spoken to so many of you, and I know that you have amazing goals for your academic career. I hear them from you all the time. I want to be a nurse because I want to come home and help my community. I want to be a computer scientist because I know this one program, or there's this problem in my country, like Elizabeth was saying, and I want to help fix it. So I know that you have these goals, but you need to practice presenting the goals in a concise manner. So practice just with your parents, with your friends, giving an answer in maybe one sentence or two sentences, but very short, concise, and to the point. Elizabeth, do you want to go over professional goals and
Yeah, I can
the
take the
paid
next few.
question?
So that third question that you want to prepare an answer for is talking about what your professional or career goals are after you finish your program. So again, that question can tie into number 5. So you could do a really nice way of saying, my goal is to go back home, to start a company and develop a software application for the education industry. So I want to go to the US and study computer science or IT, so I have the skills and can come back and start that business. So right there in that example, you're summarizing what your professional goals are after finishing your program and how you plan to use those for your future career. So it can be as simple as something as one sentence, but basically communicate to the visa officer that you've thought through not only why you want to study in the US and study this program, but what your career or professional goals are after finishing that program. And that's going to look different for everyone. So it's important to be honest and tell them what your true goals and intentions are. Don't just say something that you think they want to hear. Visa officers meet with literally hundreds of people a day sometimes for visa interviews. So they get really good at picking up when people aren't being truthful or maybe are just sharing a rehearsed answer or saying what they think the visa officer wants to hear. Alyssa and I have both heard from visa officers directly that they love it when students come in and they share their story. They're honest. And even if it's something that sounds non-traditional from what other people are doing, they love when students share their ideas and dream big. So they'd rather hear your true intention and your story and what your goals are than what society or what you think the visa officer might want to hear. So be honest with that question and that answer.
And just to kind of follow up on what Elizabeth is saying, or maybe even just to like really confirm this for you all, um, visa officers are like your parents or your teachers. Okay, your parents and your teachers always know when you're maybe not telling the whole truth, or maybe you're saying what your friend told you to say because it worked. They have a really good understanding of when you're telling your true story and when, like Elizabeth said, you're sharing a rehearsed, pitch that you think is what they want to hear. So as soon as they kind of even have an inkling that you are simply just reciting maybe what your agent told you, what a cousin who had a successful visa interview told you to say, as soon as they think that's what you're doing, they will likely deny you. So please be honest, and whatever your path is and journey is, it's a good one. And so you have every right to, say your plans with pride.
Absolutely. I like that. So the fourth question to prepare an answer for is how you will pay for your education in the US. And something like that we heard from other visa officers is they like it when students give an example of how they are paying for their education in the US. So for example, maybe your mother owns a company and she's been saving up money for your future education. So she's using those funds from her business and her company to pay for your studies in the US. Give that example. Um, Rather than just saying, oh, my mom is my financial sponsor, explain to the visa officer how she has that money available to her to fund your education. So it could be other things too. Maybe your uncle is sponsoring you and he has a lot of money saved up and he's been saving his money for his nieces and nephews' future education and really wants to invest in their education and their future. You can explain that relationship to the visa officer and tell the story of how they have this money available to them. That's a lot better answer than just, oh, my dad is my financial sponsor or my grandparent. Give that explanation of how they have this money and how they're able to use it for your education. So again, that can be a short one sentence answer. So just make sure that you're practicing what you want to say and you're not thrown off if you get a question similar to that. All of these questions listed here, these are just examples of common questions that we hear from visa officers that they tend to ask, and also what we've heard from students of the types of questions they get. So all of that to say, the questions may not sound exactly like what is written here. These are just the questions to get you thinking about the types of themes the visa officer will ask you about in your interview. So it's good to prepare answers related to these questions, but also don't be thrown off if they ask follow-up questions to your answers. So if they ask you about what you plan to study, they might ask you a follow-up question about that program. So just be prepared and be relaxed and practice these questions ahead of time, not so that you rehearse your answers, but so that you're comfortable speaking about yourself and your goals. Do you have anything else to add to that, Alyssa?
I don't think so. I think we've said it like 400 times in just this slide, but the key to success is really honesty and just really telling your own truth.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
All right. I think for some reason when I did these slides, I did the animations incorrectly.
It's kind of fun. Do you want me
Yeah,
to just put it
I
all
am.
up on the slide?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
uh, fair point. Sometimes it's amazing. Other times I'm like, oh yeah, gotta be more careful with those animations. All right, so day of your visa interview, what to expect. So the first thing is you are going to go through a security checkpoint upon arrival. So be prepared to give them any technology that you have with you. And I recommend if you have a parent who's going with and maybe waiting for you outside, to just simply leave your phone, laptop, flash drives, anything like that with them. Otherwise, most embassies have a place where you can at least store a phone and then pick it up after your appointment, but not every place does. So when you leave the security, when you go through security, you'll leave everything with them. And when you come back, if they have taken your phone and kept it safe for you, they'll return it to you after your interview. We really bring this up because I've been to a lot of embassies. Elizabeth has been to a lot of embassies, and every time I go, I think that my bag has nothing in it. Like, I've gone through it, I've made sure, and like 50% of the time, even though I am 100% positive that I've taken all the flash drives out, something sneaks through. So just be careful, go early, because in case there is a thing, a situation like that, it might take a little longer to get through security. Elizabeth has seen me take 10 minutes at the Addis embassy because I just could not find a flash drive that apparently was in my bag, but I didn't know. So yeah, so arrive early. You don't know what's going to happen at security. You don't know who's going to be in front of you at security. So just arrive early. Remember, in the US, if you arrive 15 minutes early, you are on time. If you arrive on time, you are late. And if you are 15 minutes late, don't even bother going because you're not going to get in. So that's a saying we have here in the US. Dress for success. I'm not saying you need a formal ball gown or a tuxedo, but I like to say, how do you go visit your grandma? Wear something that grandma would be proud of. So no jeans with holes in, no wrinkled shirts. Just make sure that you're presentable. And it doesn't have to be fancy. Just make sure that you're clean, well-groomed, and you look nice. Remember your documents and know where they're stored. So I recommend having a folder where you actually have them very well organized. So if they ask for your bank statements, you know exactly where they're at and can pull them up. Eat a good meal beforehand. You could be waiting several hours in the embassy with no food. So not allowed to bring food or water into the embassies with you. And we've all dealt with bureaucracy, and we know that sometimes even if your appointment is scheduled for 9 a.m., like, things just happen and you don't get in till 10:30. So we don't want anyone to be hangry, where you get so hungry that you get angry. We want you to have like all the energy to give good answers. So eat a good meal beforehand. The interview will be at a stand-up visa window. So just remember that you won't be sitting, you'll be standing. And you want to make sure that your documents are organized so that you can give them to the consular officer when asked. We bring this up again because when you're standing at a counter and you're not organized with your papers, you don't have a desk to like put them down and look through. You want to make sure that you can just grab them easily. All right, and the next one, relax. All right, take a deep breath and relax. Visa interviews are 2 to 3 minutes long, usually. And so you want to take that deep breath beforehand, speak calmly and concisely. Look the visa officer in the eye. Eye contact is really important in the US. Speak loudly enough that they can hear you. When I am out speaking to students on the road, I so often have to say, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What did you say? Like, can you please repeat it? If a visa officer can't hear you at a visa appointment, they may very correctly assume, like, how is this student going to actually perform in a US classroom, which is very heavy in participation. So speak loudly, no yelling, but loud enough so they can hear you. And we say be calm and be concise, and Elizabeth is going to agree with me on this. It's okay to be nervous. If your voice has a little shake in it, if you get flushed when you're nervous, that's okay. The visa officer will understand. This is a big deal, and they know that it means a lot to you, so they'll understand if you're nervous.
All right. Before we jump to the orientation, I'm actually going to go back to that one slide we skipped here, just with some helpful resources. So as you're preparing for your visa interview, this is just 4 resources that we recommend to prepare for your interview. The first one listed here is Argo Visa, and they have a great YouTube channel where they give tips and advice on preparing for your visa interview. And the organization is a group of former US embassy officials and visa officers. So they've had firsthand experience interviewing thousands of people for visa interviews, and they share a lot of the tips from their experience. And they have an entire segment dedicated to student visas. So I highly recommend watching their YouTube channel. They have great tips and advice, so it's well worth your time. The next resource is the US Department of State. This is the government organization that oversees all of the US embassies and consulates. And so they have their website, travel.state.gov, that has all of the resources that we shared throughout this presentation, such as the DS-160 application form, the list of US embassies and consulates around the world, and the list of documents to bring with you to your visa interview. So you will definitely need to be on that website throughout this process. And then the next resource is NAFSA. They have a list of the top 10 visa application tips. That's just a good resource to read through in addition to the 2 above. NAFSA is a professional organization of international educators in the United States. So they put that top 10 visa list together to help students. And then finally, if you would like to have the opportunity to practice for your visa interview, the International Center at MSU offers visa prep sessions for admitted students. So you can schedule a visa prep session to meet with a current international student at MSU, and they will go through the process and give you some tips and ask questions as if they were the visa officer and give you feedback on your responses. So we definitely recommend scheduling a visa prep session if you are interested in that. So I'll jump back ahead here to our orientation updates.
Yeah. Oh, look at our cute staff. So
I love that picture.
yeah, we're so excited to meet everyone. This is like the time that Elizabeth and I love because we've been helping you all try to get here, and we love to meet you in person. So for that reason, we make orientation mandatory. Not only for that reason, but attendance is mandatory. We want you to arrive early so that you are adjusted to the time. You have a chance to get used to Mankato a little bit. And I honestly think that the most important part of orientation is making new friends that you can then help support you throughout your first semester and beyond. But a lot of our students report making some of their best friends during orientation. So this year orientation is August 19th through the 23rd. So we ask that you arrive on or before August 18th. We really do want you to be there that full week, again, just so you can adjust. We can get you everything set up. The first day that you may enter the United States is July 20th, 2024. So you can enter 30 days before the program start date. And Elizabeth, I don't know your opinion on this, but I recommend coming as early as you can if you have somewhere to stay. Please do not arrive 30 days early if you are like, I have nowhere to stay, no housing. We have seen that kind of end badly. But if you have a friend or family in the United States, close by, preferably, that's awesome. Come early so that you can get adjusted to the time, the language, all of that. And then you can just be ready for orientation. I don't know, Elizabeth, what's your opinion on that?
Definitely. I feel like the earlier that students arrive, the more successful they are that first semester. Just they feel more relaxed, more comfortable. They're not rushing through orientation. They have so much more time to acclimate to the culture, getting used to speaking English all of the time,
Yeah,
adjust to the time zone, getting familiar with the transportation system. So all of those little things that you might not think about until you get to the US and specifically to Mankato, they can be little things that end up causing you more stress than you might anticipate. So just giving yourself that extra time really helps you have a successful start to the fall semester and build your community early on. So, like Alyssa said, arrive as early as you are able to and what your budget allows as well, especially if you're maybe doing some traveling around the US beforehand. Um, so, we will have a specific session later on about housing options. So, I know people usually have questions about how early can I move into the dormitories or how early can I get into my apartment? Don't worry about that right now. We'll have a specific session about that later on, but just be aware you can come to the US as early as July 20th, but you'll likely need to have housing arrangements or a place to stay for the first couple weeks until orientation starts. So, yeah, we're so excited to meet you. And we have an awesome group of peer mentors that are getting trained, and they will be there greeting you at the fall orientation. So you'll get a chance to meet current students who've gone through this process before and are just super helpful and encouraging when it comes to starting at MSU. So we're really excited to meet you all.
yeah, we really are. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Um, this was a lot of information, I know, but we are actually doing a double feature today. And in a few minutes, probably about 5 or 10 minutes, so we can take a little break, we'll actually be live again on YouTube and talking about the tuition and how to make payments at MSU. So thanks everyone for joining us, and maybe we'll see you in a few minutes. Otherwise, check our webinar schedule and come to everything that you possibly can so that you are informed. All right, have a good day, everyone.